I really want to get started, I guess, this evening, technically it's 2 o'clock, afternoon. First, I think we're going to introduce ourselves, and then we're going to go through this year at a glance a little bit, but we're going to start and talk about just kind of the three pillars that our youth group is on. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Christian Kemp, if you don't know. I'm the youth pastor here at Evergreen. And you can see this is a picture. This literally took this yesterday at Turkey Mountain. So that is my family. That's my wife, Katie. Our oldest I'm holding, his name's Winston. And then our middle is Charlotte. And then our 4-month-old Eloise is falling asleep, I'm pretty sure, hanging on Katie. But they're around, and they're around the youth group, and all the kids know my kids, and Katie is one of our Sunday school teachers. So they're definitely around.
Well, hi guys. First off, sorry if the video scared you. I was expecting it, and it scared me too. My name is Christian James. Our students call me Cheeto, just because going by Christian and Christian doesn't make sense. So I'm Cheeto. I'm the associate pastor to students here at Evergreen. This is my fiance, Hannah, who's also right there. She is awesome. We're getting married next month, so woot woot. We're excited for that. I've been serving here at Evergreen. I started serving as an intern my senior year of high school. I just graduated from college in May, so here we are on 4 years. I've been in the role I'm in now for about a year now, and man, I have loved it, and I am super pumped for all of you guys to join us here in the youth group coming up this next year. It's crazy to think that, you guys are moving on from the kids ministry up into student ministry, but hey, let me tell you, it's going to be scary, but it is going to be incredible. You can ask all of our students that have come up from our kids ministry. It's a really good ramp for those of you who went through ramp, and just everybody in general. It's a really great transition from the kids ministry to the student ministry, just getting to experience the difference here, and just continuing what you guys got to learn in the kids ministry, picking it up, taking it into student ministry. So we're excited to have you guys join us as part of the family of Evergreen students, and just to involve you guys in all the things that we're going to talk about today. So we've got a lot to get through.
All right, let's jump in. If you have that year to glance, we're going to start with the weekly services.
If you don't have one, the QR code is going to be on the screen, or I can pass out some more papers. If you would like one, throw your hand up. I'll bring one to you. Got you guys. Got you. There you go.
And whenever he's doing that,
Anybody else
I'm
need
going to
one?
run back here and skip and turn down the air because it's kind of hot in here.
Dude, I'm sweating. All right, cool. You want me to just start?
I got it. I'm going. I asked Ari to do it, and she's like, I don't know how to do it. It's not like you're an intern or anything. Sorry, shots fired. Anyway, okay, we'll start with our weekly services. Understand something. Whether you are the parent or a student of 7th grader coming up, or maybe you've been involved in the youth group for a little bit, but you just joined in the middle of the year and you just want more information. Understand something. Like Cheeto said, we have such an amazing ramp program that prepares them to come into our youth group, but the emphasis for Children's and Ramp is they build a foundation. At youth, we try to continue on their work and really allow students to have their faith become their own. What I mean by that is our goal is by the time they leave our youth group, it isn't their parents' faith, it's their faith. They understand what they know, and then they're able to defend it in a reasonable way. And that's something that we're really passionate about. It's Michael says it, and it may sound like extreme words, but that's truly how we look at it, is that we feel like we are building soldiers. In a culture that is coming after our children, and we are not going to sit to the sidelines. We are going to build soldiers and have them be prepared to go out in the world and tell people about the love of Jesus, and then be able to defend what they believe. We do that in a few ways. That we have our weekly services we're going to talk through. It's interesting. We have I said 3, but really it's 4 pillars that our youth group is built on, and they're all different in really unique ways. So obviously, Sunday mornings at 9 a.m., I say, the doors open earlier than that, but, it says 9 a.m. We usually get going around 9:10. So it's a deal where Sunday school, the kind of the flavor of Sunday school and the emphasis is small groups. We have these small groups that they meet on. Their Sunday school teacher is going to be someone that is going to heavily pour into your students' lives. We discovered a few years ago that because our youth group is so large, give or take, we can, on a Wednesday night, we can have 100, 130, 140, 150, 160. It fluctuates a little bit, but we have such a big youth group. We discovered that even between Cheeto and myself, we cannot be the youth pastor that every student needs, or we wouldn't have a life. My wife would shoot me. We can't go to all the sports games. We can't go to the plays. We can't go to the special events, because if we did, we would have to go to all of them, and we, like I said, we wouldn't have lives. So we put that responsibility on the Sunday school teachers. They're going to be the ones that are going to go to those games, that are going to pour into your students in that way. They're the ones that are going to do, those activities that we can't do as a whole youth group because we're too large. So that's a really important, I guess, cog in the youth group machine is their Sunday school teachers. But the way we do Sunday morning is they come up here, or they'll come up here, they'll fellowship for a little bit, and then Cheeto or myself will do welcome, we'll do announcements, and then we will go. We don't teach the lesson, we present the lesson. We have a curriculum called the Gospel Project, and we present the lesson. We present what the passages are going to be and the main points of those passages, and then we send them to their small groups. They spend the majority of their time in those small groups, and in those small groups, that's where they get to fellowship as a small group, and then they also get to those teachers present the lesson in those small groups. And the way we break out those small groups are, we have 7th and 8th. It's 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and then boys and girls. So it's 7th grade girls, 7th grade boys, 8th grade boys, 8th grade girls, etc. So, but the emphasis of that Sunday morning is those small groups. And then Sunday night, we have something called...
Can I jump on Sunday mornings real quick?
Go for it.
One more thing on Sunday mornings. Students, for you guys, this is going to be a great place where you guys are going to be able to get opportunities for discipleship relationships. As you come into the youth group, you're going to hear the word discipleship a lot. And what that means, if you don't already know, discipleship is just one follower of Jesus teaching another follower of Jesus how to follow him. Right? It's just walking alongside one another, learning how to follow Jesus better and better every single day. So those Sunday morning small groups, those are going to really be the times that you'll be able to find people who are going to be able to pour into you, who are going to be able to disciple you, teach you how to follow after Jesus. So your Sunday school teachers understand that, we didn't just go out and be like, hey, we need people come sign up, come be Sunday school teachers. But instead, we have intentionally gone out and we have found people that we feel are going to be really, really good small group leaders to you guys, who can train you in how to be a follower of Jesus, who can train you up in what it looks like to follow after Jesus and to be a warrior for his kingdom. And those small group leaders are going to be the ones who are going to be able to walk with you day by day in order to do that. So, as you go into Sunday mornings, as you go into those small group times, be intentional to think about, man, how can I welcome this person into my life? How can I get this person to show me how to be more like Jesus every single day? Because that's exactly what they are there for.
Awesome.
Go for it.
Awesome. Community, which is our Sunday night. What makes community different, because whenever we decided to do this, I looked at Cheeto and I said, hey, if we're going to do this, it can't be extra church. There's got to be something different. There's got to be something practical that is for this. So what community is, in years past, it was student-led Bible study. And students would come and would teach, and they would teach a lesson, and then the students would break up into student-led small groups. And then, so that's what made it different. We felt that God was kind of taking us away from that a little bit. We might go back to that in years years in the future, but community this year is going to be something really, really special. I'm really excited about. I felt a big calling, especially as we start these these schools and we talk about building soldiers, and so we decided that this year for community we are going to do something a little special. This year at Community, we are going to put an emphasis on apologetics. And every night at Community, we will have apologetics. What that will look like, the first half of the semester is going to be what we believe, why we believe it. We're going to go over different arguments for God, why we trust our Bible, everything about the Christian faith, why we believe it. We're going to teach the lesson, break them into small groups, and then give them scenarios. The scenarios that they'll read out together. They'll say, okay, I'm on a bus, and I look out the window and say, man, isn't that beautiful? And then the guy sitting next to me says, oh, well, it was all an accident. How are you going to respond to that statement with the lesson that you just learned? So we're trying to give them practical things, because they can know all the apologetics things that they want, but if they can't practically use them in their life, then it's not going to be any use. So we're going to hit a lot of apologetics in Community. The first semester is what we believe. The second semester is going to be what other people believe. We're going to go over different religions and the best way to share the gospel with those people, because you wouldn't share the gospel the same way with a Muslim as you would a Mormon. And we got some really, really exciting lessons. We're going to pour a lot of time and effort into our Sunday nights. So if your student is interested in knowing, wanting to know what they know, why they know it, and then being able to defend it, they're going to want to come to Community this year, because it's going to be really, really good. And I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, and just one other thing on that. Going into the second semester, where we're going to be talking about other world religions and how to share the gospel with them, something that I'm really passionate about is missions and missions to other countries. And one of the things that we're going to be really intentional about as we approach talking about the beliefs of other religions is that we're not going to just sit here and demonize other religions, talk about how horrible these people are because they believe this, or they don't believe that God exists, or things like that. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take an approach of how can we lovingly share the gospel, meeting people where they are, right? Like I said, I just graduated, and one of the main things that I learned in the missions classes and the world religions classes that I took is, if you're just there to prove a point, then you're missing the entire point. God doesn't want you to talk to those people if you're just there to prove them wrong. But instead, our goal is to meet those people where they are, just like Jesus met us where we were, and to bring the love of Jesus as we bring the truth to them. Speaking the truth in love. And so that's going to be our entire approach, is we're going to understand what do other people generally believe so that we can approach a conversation with them about Jesus and lead them to know what the truth is. So we're really excited about what that's going to look like. It's going to be very different from what it's been in the past, for those of you who have been to Community before. But we think it's going to be really, really helpful, really beneficial to a lot of our people, because there's a lot of people, even in just the school systems right now, that just confusion. There's a lot of unknown, and there's a lot of ideas floating around, and so we need to know, okay, why do I believe what I believe? So we think that this is going to be really helpful, really beneficial. We're doing a lot of studying for this, and this is not going to be a time where we just sit down and be like, we're going to drill into all the things that we believe, but rather instead, we're, again, intentionally trying to equip you students with the gospel so that you can know, why do I believe the things that I believe? Sure, I've been raised in church. This sounds good, but why do I know that it's true? And so we'll talk about that and how to approach conversations with other people who might challenge us on our beliefs, which is great. So,
awesome. Hey, I'll tell you what, Cheeto, I feel like I've talked a lot. You want to share and talk about girls and guys Bible study?
Yeah. So girls Bible study and guys Bible study, this is something that it kind of ebbs and flows. It changes a little bit every year, just shaping to the needs of our youth group. So this year it'll look a little bit different for the girls and the guys. For the girls are going to continue meeting on Tuesday nights at 6:30. I believe it's in the music suite downstairs. So that is a great opportunity for girls to get plugged in with other girls in the youth group. That's a great time for discussion-based conversations where they'll approach either a topic of Scripture or a passage of Scripture just to address, okay, what does the Bible have to say about this? And then have conversations to help practically understand how to approach those things. The guys' side, this year, they're going to take a little bit of a different approach. We've got some of our senior guys who are being very intentional about wanting to pour into the younger students in our youth group. And so they asked, is it okay if we take our guys' Bible study and we take it outside the boundaries of the church? We want to make this much more intimate for our group of guys. We want to take this into our homes. We want to learn what the Bible has to say about certain things, and we want to practically apply that and then take it out and to tell others about it. And so our guys, they're going to be meeting at one of our students' houses with parents who serve in our church, so it'll be completely safe, I promise. But they are going to take it and make it completely student-led so that when our students come together, it's not something where it's just another church service where we're just coming up here and teaching and explaining things, but instead, it'll be students getting together to study the Scripture and understand, man, how do I practically apply this to my life? And the guys who are leading it are also guys who are very intentional about evangelism. And so they're also going to be taking the things that they learned and try taking it out into our community in order to pour into people, to love on people, and to point people to Jesus. So that's guys and girls Bible studies. The girls Bible study will meet on Tuesdays at 6:30 here at the church. The boys will meet at 6 p.m. on Saturday evenings at the Bennett's house, which we'll get you the information for where that'll meet if you're a boy wanting to go to the boys' Bible study. But there will be much more information about that. Those will be kicking up right at the beginning of September. So those will be great opportunities for you guys to get plugged into and great places for you guys to meet other people in the youth group. On Sunday mornings, there's going to be like individualized by grade. So you'll be hanging out with your grade and your gender. And then on Wednesday nights, we'll talk about that in a minute, but that's a lot different. So these Bible studies are going to be great opportunities to intentionally connect with people from every grade across the board in our youth group. So that is the guys and girls Bible studies.
Nailed it. All right, last thing, we'll talk about midweek. Midweek is our Wednesday night service. We call it midweek. The emphasis of midweek is deep biblical teaching. Not that we don't teach from the Bible, in everything that we do, but the emphasis, we look and we see it, community, obviously, apologetics is emphasis, where we're going to be teaching from Scripture, but it's apologetics is emphasis. And then Sunday mornings, yes, the Gospel Project is very biblical, but we tell our teachers that they have that lesson, but if God leads them in a different direction as far as maybe they get one or two questions in and then, that leads to a spiritual discussion. We tell them, feel free to shut the book and have that spiritual discussion because that's not the emphasis. Wednesday night, the emphasis is deep spiritual teaching where our Mondays and Tuesdays, the majority, if we're teaching that week, the majority of our Mondays and Tuesdays are preparing for this Wednesday night. And I just say this. I don't say this to brag or anything like that, but just know both of us have filled in for Michael with his teaching before, and I can speak for both of us when I say we spend as much time preparing for our Wednesday nights as we do to fill in for Michael. So understand that it is not a thing we don't go off a curriculum that we just read and throw together and put up on screen, or we don't just come in and wing it. We prepare very, very well because Wednesday nights we're going to have our youth band that comes up here, leads worship, and then we are going to preach from the Bible. So we have a lot of really exciting, sermon series this year. We've got it all planned out. You want to just give them a little sneak peek about that?
So just a couple of the different sermon series that we'll be walking through this year. First off, I will say, out of my entire week, midweek is my highlight of the week. I love when everybody gets to come together, when our entire youth group comes together just to worship Jesus and to open his word and just enjoy time together. That is the highlight of my week every single week. So midweek kickoff is not this coming Wednesday, but it's the following Wednesday. So I hope that we'll see all of you guys there, all of you students, because that is when we'll get things kicked off there. And let me tell you, it's going to be awesome. We've got some really good things planned for this year. A couple of the sermon series that we're looking at doing this year. So first, we're going to start off with a series called David Spotify Wrapped. And essentially what that is we're going to look at the different genre of psalms, and we're going to look at a psalm in each of the genres. So why does a certain psalm talk about judgment? Why does a certain one talk about praising God? How do we use that as a model for prayer? So that is essentially what that series is going to be, is we're going to learn how did the people in the Bible pray? How did they talk to God? And how can we do the same? So that's going to be the first series. The second series, we're going to be picking back up where we left off last year. We've been working through the book of Matthew. Matthew has 28 chapters. We've gotten through 15 of them. And so we're going to be picking up in Matthew chapter 16. I promise you're not going to be lost. We'll give you all the info you need in order to know where we're at in the context of the book. But we'll be moving into, the series is going to be called The Kingdom Opposition. And we're going to be looking at how the greatest opposition to God using you as a servant of the kingdom is your own unwillingness to let him lead. So we're going to look at, what does Jesus say the people of God live like? What does Jesus say the people of God think like? How do we act? How do we speak to others? And we're going to see that in Matthew chapters 16 through 20. That'll be our first semester. Those will be the 2 series. Then when we come back, we're going to do a series called Clean. Now this one might make some of you guys who are coming up into 7th grade a little uncomfortable, but I promise this is going to be a great sermon series for you guys. We're going to be talking about, what does the Bible say about biblical sexuality? And what that means is that we're going to look at how we can tune our minds and our hearts to follow after Jesus. And as a result of that, all of our actions are going to follow after him. This isn't going to be something that's like super raw and uncomfortable for everybody. We are going to talk about things strictly from the Bible. And we're going to talk about how the Bible models for us how we should think, how we should act, how we should speak. And those things are going to lead us into following Jesus with our bodies.
And we will not be selling purity rings. Don't worry.
But that's weird. So that'll be that series. Then we'll pick back up for a couple more weeks in the book of Matthew. We'll continue with the book of Matthew from there. And then we will finish our sermon series with a series called FAQ. FAQ is just a series where we invite students to present their questions. We started around March time. And we invite students to just submit questions. What are questions you have about the things that we believe, about the Bible? What questions do you have about culture? And then what we do is we take those questions, and then we go out and we find experts who can answer the questions that our students have. This last year, we went out and we found experts to talk about mental health, to talk about world religions, to talk about dating. We've talked about speaking in tongues in the past. We've talked about transgenderism. There's a lot of things that are going on in the lives of our students and the people that are surrounding them that we understand. There's a lot that we can learn, but we can't be experts on every topic. And so what we try to do is we don't want to just stand up here and just pretend like we know everything. Instead, we go out and we find experts who have studied the topic, maybe written books about the topic, maybe even experienced the topic. And we just read off questions to them, and we allow them to guide us through a biblical conversation about how we respond to the things that are relevant to students' lives right now. That series, we've done it for the past 5 or so years, and let me tell you, just about every time after the series is done, I hear over and over and over, FAQ is always my favorite series. I wish we did FAQ all year round. FAQ is so great. And I'm just like, man, okay, is Matthew not good enough? But I'm just kidding. But FAQ is going to be a great series. We finish every May with FAQ, and that'll be a great series as well.
Rest assured. With that kind, especially with FAQ, we do not sugarcoat or pull any punches, because you better believe the enemy is not pulling any punches. So we are not afraid to, and we tell the students, do not be afraid to ask the question that you're afraid to ask. Never be afraid. So like Cheeto said, we have touched some really deep, but some really good stuff. So that is our kind of 4 pillars, our weekly services, with what our youth group goes. I want to talk about service opportunities because we have a lot of different service opportunities in our youth group. We're going to jet through these real quick. I'll tell you what, we'll just jet through this. Cheeto, jump in if you see anything. So first off, we have Riverbend. What Riverbend is a mobile home park that is on Memorial that we've been working with for several years now. We own one of the buildings that's out there, and we use it as a community center. We have, I'm sure you've heard, there's Spanish or English classes we have out there. We have just tons of ministries that are out there. So what the youth do is we just call it Riverbend, and the first of every month, except for literally the first one, because the first Sunday in the month is the weekend of Labor Day, and so we decided not to do it. So the first Sunday of every month, except for this coming September when we get started with it, we are going to go to Riverbend. What Riverbend is, we go and we have food, we have conversations, we grill out, and we just have a good time and just kind of throw a little block party, for that community. That way they can come in, they know us, and then we can have those gospel conversations with those people, while you eat a hamburger or a hot dog. So, but the way we do that is on our mass text, that's the last thing we're going to talk about. But what we'll do is we send out an RSVP the Saturday before. If you want to go, you RSVP, and then you're locked in. You show up right after church. It's right after church, so you bring clothes to change into, or you wear the clothes that you're going to wear at Riverbend to church. And then we have a meeting in the downstairs youth area at 12:30. And that is just to get everyone a job, because the first thing, we have tons of jobs when we get out there to set up the tent, set up the grill, set up the bouncy house, go knock on doors, all that good stuff. We sign up for jobs, we go over safety things, and then we head out there. We do not drive your student to Riverbend, so you're going to have to do that. We encourage parents to just stick around for the meeting. It doesn't last longer than 10 minutes, but then you hop in your vehicle, you go to Riverbend, and then we get going with that. Special needs buddies. I'm going to jet through these last little bit because your student will hear more about these on midweek kickoff. But special needs, that's a ministry in our church that's really blowing up, and they like to get students that feel called to help with special needs. We get you connected with Jen and Leah, and then they take care of that. Same things with kid worship and preschool administration or assistance. We get you connected to those ministries, but they'll hear more about that midweek kickoff. They'll have an opportunity, if they feel called to serve in one of those areas, we'll get them connected. Last thing with service opportunities. Midweek, we believe that this youth group isn't just, hey, come hang out and enjoy the show. We like our students to be involved and serve in our youth group. So we have plenty of midweek teams. What it is, we have welcome team, which whenever students walk into the door, there's going to be someone there high-fiving them, holding up welcome signs. Whenever there's a new student that shows up, the welcome team, it's their job to introduce them to a student leader that is of the same gender and their age, to hang out with them and introduce them to everyone. That way, anyone that's coming in new doesn't feel they don't know anyone, because they're going to be introduced to someone. Snack Shack team, we have our Snack Shack that's open every Wednesday. Doors open at 5:30. We start at 6, so Snack Shack opens at 5:30, where they can get a drink, they can get candy. We have a deal with Chick-fil-A where we have Chick-fil-A every week, so they can buy a Chick-fil-A sandwich. A lot of students, that's what they do for their meal that night. But we have students that run that. We have a prayer team that is up here, and they come up here at 6:15 before we come upstairs, and before we start our midweek service, they pray over every chair in this room. And so that's an important team. We have our worship team that's student-led, that comes up here and leads worship. We have our tech team that's back there in the tech booth that runs slides that help the worship team. And then we have our calendar team who meets if you look in the downstairs youth area, you see that big wall calendar right there that meets once a month, and they decorate that wall calendar. So we have a lot of teams, but we want our students to be involved in their youth group and serve in their youth group. So they'll learn more about that in midweek kickoff. But that's service opportunities. You got anything?
Nope.
All right, sweet.
Let's jump to events, and then
like
we'll
that.
talk about staying connected last.
Tell you what, how about events? Do we just knock it out? You start, and then we'll just go back and forth.
Deal. Okay, so we have a lot of events that we do throughout the year. It's like one per month, okay? So, except for September. I guess we just hate September. So we're going to start midweek kickoff, August 21st. That's not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. I don't hate September, Hannah. I'm getting married in September. Anyway, midweek kickoff, August 21st. That's going to be a really fun night where we get to explain to everybody, here's what the year of midweek is going to look like, but generally, that's not going to be an information time. It's going to be a time where we all get to come together, play games, have fun together, and just get everybody to get a little bit of a feel for our youth group, because it's for a lot of people, it's their first time. A lot of times people will wait until midweek kickoff to start coming. So that'll be a great time for all of us to just come together, and that is the official start of our Wednesday night services.
There we go. Trunk or Treat. That is a full church event, but we highly encourage our students to make a booth. It's so funny when, like, I think some of the, I'm biased, but like, I think some of the best booths out there the last couple of years have been ones where a group of, 6 or 7 students get together and be like, hey, let's make a booth. We can do this, because they just got to make the booth. We provide you the candy. They don't have to collect their own candy. We give them the candy, and they just come up with a game. So it is an all-church event, Trunk or Treat, and that's over there in the parking lot on Halloween. They have games, candy, all the fun stuff. But we encourage our students that if they're willing and available to make a trunk. So that's Trunk or Treat.
Pancakes and PJs. By the way, I'm counting Trunk or Treat as both October and November, because it's the 31st. It counts as both. Pancakes and PJs is December 11th. That is going to be our student Christmas party. It's going to be a Wednesday night where we're going to have pancakes for everybody, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We play a lot of games that night. We have a gift exchange that we love to do, where everybody just brings like a $5 gift. We play a big old game, and everybody leaves with a fun prize. It might be a beanie. It might be a singular sock. Who knows?
It might be a signed portrait of myself. So.
Might be.
You're welcome, Ava Jackson.
Last year there was a blanket that was just Nicolas Cage's face. So I wasn't mad at that. That was awesome. But Pancakes and PJs, that's our student Christmas party. That's our last thing that we do as a student group in the first semester. So.
The Whodunit Party. This was something that we did this last year. Over the years, we have done lock-ins, but can I just tell you something about lock-ins? They are the devil's favorite event. They're terrible, and honestly, I'll just be honest, the moment that I got in charge, my first act of youth pastor was, I'm never doing a lock-in ever again, because it's terrible, everyone gets sick, and we don't do it. So we decided last year we needed to come up with an awesome event to kick off our second semester, so we did a Whodunit Party. What that is it is so fun. We get a lot of sponsors, give them roles, and then essentially it's a giant game of Clue, where the students come in, we decorate this whole room, we have a big, long table that stretches the whole way of the room, and then we all have a nice dinner party, and then about 35 minutes into the dinner party, someone gets killed. We can't say...
Pretend killed.
Pretend killed. I cannot stress this enough. It's pretend killed. We got a little hot water for using the
There was a little
murder word last year. Anyway, but someone gets pretend killed, and then the detectives come rolling in, and then they have to decide, or they have to figure out, using clues around the Evergreen Mansion, they have to figure out who is the killer and why and how. It is literally so fun. The kids had such a good time, so we're going to do that again this year. So that is our first kind of thing, our first Wednesday night back after Christmas and all that. That's a Whodunit Party.
Second semester kickoff, that's just our first week back to regular midweek, so I'm going to jump past that one. Reach Night. If you don't know, Reach is our young adults ministry here at Evergreen. And so one of the things that we really want to be intentional about, just as we've talked about how Ramp is a great bridge between the kids ministry and the student ministry. We also want to make it easy. I know you guys have a few years before you get there, but we want to make it easy for you guys to be able to transition into the next season of life when your time in the student ministry is done. And so we partner with our young adults ministry here at Evergreen. We allowed their leadership team to come in and to spend some time with our seniors. And then one of our young adults pastors, either Taylor Gabbert or Matt O'Mealy, will come up and will preach that evening. And will just be a great opportunity for our seniors and upperclassmen to get to know the young adults leadership team, but they'll be hanging out with us that night, so that'll be a great opportunity for everybody to kind of get to know our young adults ministry. So, boom.
So, Super Summer Night. Every summer, we go to a camp called Super Summer. Super Summer is a leadership camp. Falls Creek we'll talk about that in just a second. That is a camp where we want everyone to come to. We want every student we can to come to Falls Creek. Super Summer is different. Super Summer is a leadership camp. So it is only for students that want to be leaders. They have to go through a few things like interview process. They have to fill out applications. They have to get letters of recommendation. They have to do some community service hours. It is truly for students that want to be leaders. So that night, Super Summer Night, we talk all things Super Summer. We release the packets that night. We talk about what Super Summer is. We get the students excited for it, and then we release the packets and start the interview process. But yeah, that's Super Summer Night.
You made that sound like so heavy. Release the packets.
Release the packets.
Okay, the weekend. So the weekend is essentially, it's our D-Now, if you know what that is. It's a discipleship conference where it'll be hosted here this year, so that's awesome. Essentially, we get to partner with a bunch of other churches. Last year, I think there were 16 churches that we got to partner with in putting on this discipleship event where we hosted it at First Baptist Jinx. It'll be here this year, where all those churches, they'll be coming with their leadership, with their sponsors. We'll invite a bunch of sponsors. Everybody will come here to Evergreen, where we have invited a speaker and a band to come and lead us in a discipleship conference throughout the weekend, where we get to learn how do we practically follow Jesus in the stage of life that we're in. So the specific area of teaching will be determined by the speaker, but we're in constant conversation with him about what we'll be talking about and the things that our students need to know, things like that. And one of the key things about the weekend is I want to say it's like a small-scale Falls Creek in that it's a really great opportunity to get to know the other students in our group on a very intimate level. And by that, I mean that after the conference is done, each night, the people get to go back to host homes. So each small group will be going back to host homes of different people that will be hosting our groups from throughout our church, people that have been vetted, that have background checks, things like that. We make sure that we always have a safe environment for every one of our groups. But those people invite our small groups to come back and stay the evening at their house so that everybody has a common place where they can stay together. The boys will stay at a boys' home, the girls will stay at a girls' home, things like that. And they'll be split up by their small groups. But the weekend is a really big event that we really want everybody to be a part of.
Awesome. All right, spring break mission trip. We have 2 mission trips throughout the year for our students. The first one is the spring break mission trip. That is an international mission trip. I'm sorry for all the incoming 7th graders. A rule that we have is you have to complete an in-state mission trip before you can go international with us. So the 3 in-state mission trips that you can do, you can either go to Camp Barnabas, which we'll talk about. You can either come to our river bends, and if you don't miss a single river bend throughout the year, we'll count that as an in-state mission trip. Or you have to do what's called Mission Tulsa, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But our spring break mission trip this year, it is not locked down officially yet, but I will tell you right now, it is about 95% sure that we are going to go back to beautiful San Miguel, Mexico, to help serve where we've gone the last 2 years, to help serve with a ministry called Bria Life and the missionaries on the ground there, Ben and Susie Arhill. So that's spring break mission trip.
Girls Weekend. So every spring, at the beginning of April, our girls put together a Girls Weekend. Now, this is not a time where all the girls would come together and be like, oh my gosh, flowers, smoothies, petals, all those things. Instead, this is a time, I don't know why I threw smoothies in there. I'm going to keep moving. That's a time where a lot of our girls come together, and last year, they had a neon Nerf battle. So, like, it's really fun. So even if you're not like a super girly girl, like that's okay, because this is a really fun event where they invite a speaker to come in and talk about, again, how do we practically live to follow Jesus in our area and season of life? Last year, they brought in Miss Nikki Boyd, who has led the RAMP program. She was the speaker for Girls Weekend last year. But they bring in different women from throughout the church who have experienced teaching, who can help lead the girls weekend, and help us to understand, or help the girls to understand, how do I live to follow Jesus in my area of life, in my season of life. And they do a really good job putting those together. They often will bring in host homes into that as well. I believe last year everybody stayed here. And so I don't know if that's been determined yet.
It's all student-led.
Great. We'll have conversations with the students. That's another thing that we love to do, is we love to invite some of our older students who are involved in the youth group, who have expressed feeling a call to ministry. We invite those students in to help us plan some events like this. So like Girls Weekend, we invite some of those older girls to come in and be a part of the planning process so that we can show them, here's how you put on an event that makes sure that we're focusing on following Jesus and making sure that he's the top priority. We love to bring those students in and help them to get a little bit of ministry experience in order to put those things on. So Girls Weekend.
Yep. I would say and be like, oh, it's an awesome event, but I'll be honest, it's Girls Weekend. I've never been to it. So, but I've heard that it's good from Katie.
We got a thumbs up from Hannah.
There we go. Okay, I'm going to hit these next two. That way you can talk about Super Summer. All right, so Falls Creek Sign-Up Night is just like the Super Summer Night, only it's Falls Creek. We hype up Falls Creek. We give away a few. We play some games. We give away a few full rides to Falls Creek. We announce the price. We announce the theme nights, and then from that night to 1 week after that night, we have our one and only discount, and it is an early bird discount. I think this last year it was over $50.
It was $100. It was a $100 discount.
Oh, 100. Okay,
yeah.
So it is well worth it to sign up for Falls Creek in that early bird period. But that's sign up night. Mission Tulsa. So Mission Tulsa, like I said, is one of our mission opportunities where essentially it is 2 parts of a mission trip. The first part is we're going to do some sort of service. 2 years ago, we did a vacation Bible school, backyard Bible club camp at Riverbend, and that went really well. This last year, we went to Sequoia Hills, the church that kind of near North Tulsa that we've been supporting. We went and put on their VBS. And did their VBS, so that's exciting. But then in the afternoons, we always do something that's very special, but it's always the same. We do what's called track evangelism, where students, if they sign up for Mission Tulsa, they are required to be at some mission training sessions, where these mission training sessions, we teach them how to share the gospel. We teach them how to share their testimony, and then we practice it. Over and over and over and over again. That way, whenever we go out for Mission Tulsa and we go out to different parks around the community, we go and share the gospel with strangers, and they are prepared and they are ready and they are nervous, but they do it anyway. And I know you could talk to several students that have been on Mission Tulsa, and they will tell you what a blessing it is. So that's one of our in-state mission trips. Super.
Yeah, and Mission Tulsa, again, going out and sharing the gospel with random strangers is super nerve-wracking. But let me tell you, something I've found over and over and over again with our students who do this is that at first they're like, oh, like terrified. But then as soon as they share the gospel with the first person, they're like, oh, that wasn't bad. Then they do it with another person. They're like, hey, this is kind of fun. And then we get all the way to the point where Ike, he was part of it this last year. Dude, this man went on a jog with somebody so he could continue sharing the gospel with this. And this guy was just jogging, and Ike just like runs up beside this guy, and he's like, hey, you know about Jesus? And the guy was like, what? And he was like, you know about Jesus? And kept jogging with him. And finally the guy stopped. And I was like, I didn't want to jog behind him. So I was really glad the guy stopped. But Mission Tulsa is a great opportunity for our students to get out and to share their faith and to do uncomfortable things. So next one, Super Summer. Super Summer is one of my favorite events of the year. Essentially what that is like Kip said when we were talking about Super Summer Night, Super Summer is a leadership development camp. It is taking people who have intentionally made the decision, I want to follow Jesus, I want to be a leader for the sake of the kingdom in my areas of life. And we are taking those people and intentionally training them on how to be leaders within their youth group and within their schools. So what that looks like is we will go to Oklahoma Baptist University, which is where I just graduated from, woot woot, and we'll take a bunch of students from here after they go through the application process, after they go through the interviews, after they do their service hours, and they do all the things that they need to be vetted to do in order to go to camp. We'll take them to camp, and then essentially we won't see them again for the rest of the week. Why? Because Super Summer is specifically designed to get everybody out of their comfort zone in order that when they come back to their comfort zone, they understand, oh, you know, sharing the gospel is going to get me out of my comfort zone, but I just went through a week of that and it was the best week of my life. So the way that Super Summer functions is that everybody will be divided into schools dependent on their grade. So 7th graders, you'd be in red school. 8th graders would be in blue school. 9th in orange. 10th in yellow. 11th in green. And seniors go into silver school because they're old. So essentially, everybody's divided into their schools. Each school is designated to a specific topic of teaching dependent on the season of life. So for 7th graders, it's, okay, how do I commit to following after Jesus through the rest of my time as I'm preparing to go into high school, as I walk through high school? What would it look like for me to actually commit everything to Jesus? How do I know what the Bible says? How can I study my Bible? And it's laying the groundwork for what it means to be a leader for the cause of Christ, for the sake of the kingdom in this season of life that I'm in. So that's what Super Summer is for. It is intentionally taking people and training them to be kingdom-minded leaders.
Awesome. Nailed it. So, Super Summer, understand though, you know, with that, any student that has never been to Super Summer before, especially 7th grade students that are coming up, understand if they come to me and they, or Cheeto, and they say, hey, I really want to be a leader in this youth group, I really want to go to Super Summer, unless there are some behavioral issues that we need to deal with, the answer will always be yes. And you get all your stuff done, the answer will always be yes. But understand, and we make sure our students know and understand this, Super Summer students are held to a higher standard. We expect you to be a leader. We expect you to be here a majority of the time. And if they can't, and there have been students that can't hold up to that leadership that we call them to have, and then unfortunately we've had to say no to students that want to go to Super Summer the next year, and we say, hey, I'm sorry, like we need you to do better at this and this and this, and then we'll see about next year. We take it that seriously though, because Super Summer students are held to a higher standard because it's a leadership camp.
And one other thing, students, I will tell you now, like if that's something that piques your interest right now and you're like, man, Super Summer sounds pretty cool, I would love to be a part of that, to learn, maybe just give it a try one year and see if that's something I'd actually be interested in, is being a kingdom-minded leader. Hey, let me tell you, show up. Like, be part of our youth group, be investing in our youth group, because one of the things that we do make mandatory for being qualified to go to Super Summer is you got to be part of our youth group. You have to be present. And we take attendance. We make sure that for those who want to go to Super Summer, we check attendance. Just to make sure, hey, like, are you actually trying to invest in our youth group? It's not something where we're going to be legalistic, like, oh, you didn't show up 95.5% of the time, but rather it's, okay, we're actually going to ask the question, are you actually trying to be intentional to invest in our youth group? Because if not, then Super Summer's not for you, because that's what Super Summer's designed for, is how to invest back into our youth group that you're learning from. So,
yep. All right.
Falls Creek.
Falls Creek. So Falls Creek is our big main, probably our biggest event of the year. That is our big evangelism camp down at Falls Creek, youth camp down in, what are the mountains called? Wichita?
Arbuckle?
Arbuckle, that's it. Arbuckle Mountains.
I wish it was in the Wichita
Yeah,
Mountains.
sorry. No, Arbuckle Mountains that are down there. So it's an awesome camp. It's an evangelism camp. If you don't know what Falls Creek is, come find us afterwards. We'll tell you all about Falls Creek. But that is our big evangelism camp. All right, you want to finish us out, talk about Camp Barnabas?
Camp Barnabas. So Camp Barnabas is basically, it is a camp for students and kids who have special needs. And so what we do is we're not the ones who lead up this camp because we have just gotten back from Falls Creek at this time. But Pastor Philip Jackson is the staff member who leads up Camp Barnabas. And essentially what that is our students get the opportunity to go and serve families who have students with special needs by spending time with their student throughout the week. Their special needs do not disqualify them from being able to come to camp. It might make it to where it looks a little bit different for them, but we don't want anybody to miss out on the fun of camp just because of having special needs. And so Camp Barnabas is specifically designed for students who do have special needs in order that they can still get an incredible camp experience put on by our students, where our students get to be involved in the day-to-day living, spending time with those students, with the campers, spending time just helping put on a great experience and giving families the opportunity for their student to still be involved in camp-style experiences. So that is a great opportunity. Again, that is also considered one of our in-state mission trips because for those who go to Camp Barnabas, it is an incredible week. I've heard so many times, man, life change came from that week, but it's also extremely difficult. It is difficult to go in and to serve 24/7 for an entire week, but that is still one of the most incredible opportunities to go, to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and to serve people who don't get served as much as they should. So that's Camp Barnabas.
Awesome. All right, last thing, we're going to jump into staying connected, but go ahead and put staying connected up there. So I want to talk about this, but before we do, I want to we probably should have started with this, but I want to just make this clear for all you parents out there. The way that we run our youth group, safety is our number one thing. I can honestly say one of the things that I hate the most about stereotypes of youth pastors are that, they're just kind of go with the flow. They're like loosey-goosey. They're crazy things happen in youth group. Here's the deal. We have a lot of fun, and we do a lot of really fun, silly things. But when push comes to shove, we're going to protect your students. We're going to take care of your students. We're not going to put them in awkward situations. We're not going to put them in situations that can hurt them. Every single member, from Sunday school to our midweek, has been trained over, just different situations about, being alone with students, how they are to contact students. Every single one of them has gone through a background check. We do not allow, and we have a security team that on Wednesdays and Sundays that is here, that is ready to assist. We like to say this, that once they are checked in, they are under our care, and we take very good care of your students. So we kind of pride ourselves on safety and making sure that your students are put in a position where they can succeed and that they're going to be safe. But let's talk about staying connected, and then we'll talk about what to know more about us real quick. But I want to hit the stay connected. That way we can jet through this. So there are tons of ways that you can stay connected with this youth group. Obviously, we have our Instagram, we have our Facebook, we have our newsletter, and then our mass text. Here's the thing, though. Mass text. If you haven't listened to anything that I've said, mass text is the biggest thing. That is how we communicate with students and parents. That is our biggest thing. If a parent comes to me and says, hey, I didn't know about this, the first question I'm going to ask them, are you on the mass text? That is how we communicate from big to small. That QR code that's on the screen, it's going to be on the screen whenever we dismiss. That way you can hit it. Every parent, and we encourage students as well, but definitely every parent needs to hit that QR code. That way you can be signed up for the mass text. Understand, we're not going to blow up your phone. We're not going to send out a message every day saying, hey, good morning, Jesus loves you. We're not going to do that.
He does, but we're not going to do that.
But it is a thing where we're going to be announcing events that are going to come up. Whenever we have the Falls Creek Early Bird, we're going to put that information on there. Whenever it's about to close down, we're going to put that on there. Whenever things need to get out really quickly, we will put it on the mass text. Last year, we had something happen with the construction, and we didn't have water in the whole building. And when we don't have water in the building, we cannot have youth here. And it was like 30 minutes before youth was about to start. So we'll put it on Instagram, and we'll, put it on all our social medias, but we send that out on the mass text, and within 5 minutes, everyone that's on the mass text gets a text message that says, hey, all youth and church activities have been canceled tonight. Especially with ICE. Whenever ICE happens, the mass text is so important. With the mass text, every month you will get a newsletter through the mass text that just gives what we're talking about, what we're preaching about on Wednesday nights, events that are coming up, and just that way you can stay connected with the youth group. There are a lot of ways to stay connected, but I cannot stress this enough. The mass text is the biggest way. So if you want to stay connected and you want to know what's going on in the youth group, please sign up for the mass text.
Secondary to that is our social media. We try to be really intentional about connecting on social media with our students by posting content, by posting our service times, things like that, by posting our events. So for those of you students who don't want mass text, that's okay. If you're on Instagram, follow us on Instagram. If you're on Facebook, cool, great job. Follow us on Facebook, because we'll be posting just pictures of Wednesday night, or maybe what the series is, what the lesson's going to be this week, what time doors are going to open, things like that. Or if there's like a certain amount of time to sign up at the Discount and Falls Creek price, we'll be putting those on our social media as well. So follow us on social media, because that's going to be the secondary way in order to stay connected with our youth group. So highly recommend that as well.
All right. Last thing, what to know more about us? We have a website. You want to just talk about our website, because you kind of control that.
So our website, it is egstudents.weebly.com. If you find us on Instagram, again, our Instagram is students.evergreen. If you find us, you can click the link in our bio, and that'll take us to the website. Our website, it's not used every single week. You don't have to check on it every single week. That's what the mass text is for. But it is good to check it about once a month to stay updated on what's going on in our youth group. We'll have signups for events on the website. We'll have information about events that are coming up. We'll have just different things going on the website. On the website, you can learn more about our student ministry. If you have questions or you want to contact one of the two of us, you can contact us through the website, because we have links to connect with us on there. So there's a lot more information about our youth group, maybe about our events. We have all of our events listed on our website. So if you have questions about any of those things, feel free to reach out to our website to look at the different pages, to look at the different events that we have listed, or that is also where you'll sign up for events. So we'll be sending that out constantly as well.
And then lastly, and then we'll open it up for questions and we'll get out of here. Our sermons, our Wednesday night sermons, are all recorded, and they're all put on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is Evergreen Students. So usually we can't live stream, because Michael is preaching the same time that we are, and he live streams. So we record, and then by Thursday at noon, 90% of the time, I'll say this, 90% of the time, by Thursday at noon, they are up on our YouTube channel. So you, especially with as we do ongoing sermons, or as a parent, if you just want to know what your student's learning about, you can go to our YouTube channel, and every single service is on there. So, anything else?
Yeah, no, again, like if you have any questions about the things that we're teaching or the events that are coming up, please feel free to reach out to the two of us. Again, on our website, you can contact us, or if you want to come and just ask us, you can get our phone numbers. We're happy to give you our phone numbers or our emails where you can reach out to us, contact us about any questions you might have. Again, after we dismiss, feel free to come talk to us, get to know us a little bit. We would love to just meet you, to meet your students. We're so excited for you to be with us starting next Sunday, so that's awesome. We're excited to have you guys up here with us every single week, and we're excited to get to know you and about your walk with Jesus and help you walk according to the ways that Scripture commands us to teach or to live. So we're excited to just do life with you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And if you have questions about the things that we're teaching, we're also happy to talk about that as well.
Let's just in case someone has a question that other people have, you can come talk to us afterwards, definitely.